On to some other stories now, where the American President Joe Biden has predicted that Russia will make a move on Ukraine. However, Biden has said that Putin may not want a full-blown conflict. The US President has warned that Russia would pay very dearly in case of a full-blown invasion. Now, Biden has also suggested that there would be a lower cost imposed on the Russians in case Russia decides to carry out a minor incursion into Ukraine. Listen in to what the American president has had to say.
I think what you're going to see is that Russia will be held accountable if it invades. And it depends on what it does. It's one thing if it's a minor incursion and then we end up having a fight about what to do and not do, etc. But if they actually do what they're capable of doing with the force amassed on the border, it is going to be a disaster for Russia if they further invade Ukraine, and that our allies and partners are ready to impose severe cost and significant harm on Russia and the Russian economy. The only thing I'm confident of is that decision is totally, solely, completely a Putin decision. Nobody else is going to make that decision. No one else is going to impact that decision. He's making that decision. And I suspect it matters which side of the bed he gets up on in the morning as to exactly what he's going to do.
The Biden's latest comments lead to confusion and uncertainty about how exactly the West will respond in case Vladimir Putin orders for an invasion of Ukraine. The Biden has also highlighted that a third summit with Putin is still a real possibility. The two leaders have already met twice in 2021, and Biden and his team have prepared a broad set of sanctions and other economic penalties to impose on Russia in case of an invasion. The White House has also issued a statement saying that if any Russian military forces move across the Ukrainian border, then that is a renewed invasion and it will be met with a pretty stiff, severe and a united response from the United States. Meanwhile, back in Kiev, Antony Blinken has said that he will not present any kind of a formal response to the Russian demands to try and temper down the Ukrainian crisis. He said that the two sides need to explore common ground. Blinken has also reiterated that some Russian ideas were clearly and absolutely non-starters, such as explicitly barring Ukraine from joining the NATO military alliance virtually on the doorstep of Russia. He has also promised relentless diplomatic efforts to prevent any kind of renewed aggression.
Continue our relentless diplomatic efforts to prevent renewed aggression and to promote dialogue and peace. At the same time, we continue to bolster Ukraine's ability to defend itself and make clear the costs that the United States and Europe will impose on Moscow if it rejects the diplomatic path that we've laid out and proceeds with an unwarranted, unprovoked, unacceptable invasion or destabilization of Ukraine.
Meanwhile, the Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba has said that Russia wants to sow panic and distrust and also destabilize Ukraine's financial system.
Найбільшим досягненням Росії сьогодні буде сіяння паніки, зневіри в українському суспільстві і розхитування нас зсередини. Насамперед, розхитування нашої економіки, нашої фінансової системи.
Meanwhile, Blinken will be visiting Berlin to hold meetings with European allies. He will also be participating in four-way talks with Britain, France and Germany. And then he'll be heading off to Geneva for a meeting with his Russian counterpart, Sergei Lavrov. Meanwhile, as part of military drills, the Russian army pilots flew the new Ka-52 Alligator combat reconnaissance helicopters for the very first time at an Air Force base in the southern Rostov region near the Ukrainian border. The new helicopters are a modernized version of an older Ka-50 Black Shark type. According to the Russian Ministry of Defense, the improved battle assault systems allow the helicopters to engage in combat pretty much at any time of the day and also pretty much in any weather conditions. And tens of thousands of Russian troops are positioned on the Ukrainian border. Tensions between Moscow and the West have reached a post-Cold War high, and Moscow insists that it has no plans to invade, but is demanding for wide-ranging security guarantees. And our correspondent Susan Tehrani has been tracking the story very closely for us and has sent us this report. Listen in.
U.S. President Joe Biden held a rare press conference at the White House to mark his first year as a president, defending his record at a time when his poll numbers among the American public continues to sink and is on the decline. One of the most significant moments during that press conference was when the president pointed to the Ukrainian standoff and said that he believed Russian President Vladimir Putin would, quote unquote, move in the troops that he has amassed along the Ukrainian border. The president also signaled that America's response would be very different depending on how Russia would stage that incursion into Ukraine and not whether or not that incursion would take place.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.